Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Craven Cottage has just got underway. It's a West London derby between Fulham and Brentford. And if you'd have said maybe 10, 15 years ago that these two sides would be meeting in the Premier League, it certainly would have been a real surprise, particularly to the Brentford fans. Fulham, of course, since the early 2000s have had ambitions of getting into the Premier League, been up and down quite a few times since then. But joined by their smaller West London neighbours, you could say, where Brentford getting into the Premier League last season, taking the place of Fulham, of course, beat Brentford to get into the Premier League the season before in the playoff final. And Fulham straight away on the attack in the first few seconds. Mitrovic breaking into the box, stopped there by De Silva. The ball gets into the 6-yard box. A strike comes in, it deflects, it's off the bar, and it's into the back of the net. What a start this is from Fulham. 45 seconds on the clock, and the home side take the lead. Brentford all over the place in defence, and the perfect start for Marco Silva's side, who take the lead after essentially a run from Mitrovic was stopped at the edge of the 6-yard box. The ball then flared up in the air, and two attempts for Brentford to try and clear their lines, and they weren't able to do it. Given away by Pontus Jansson on the halfway line. Lovely bit of skill to thread the ball through towards Mitrovic. He broke into the penalty area. His run was stopped, but he got another chance, fired that ball into Decordova-Reid, and then the ball deflected off the bar after an attempt. I think it was the youngster Stansfield that had the second effort, which deflected off the bar before it finally dropped back to Decordova-Reid. And Brentford all at sea defensively there. Really is a very, very poor goal for the visitors to concede, but Fulham certainly won't care about that. They'll be delighted with the start. Both these teams are unbeaten at the start of this season so far after the first two games. Fulham with two draws, Brentford with a draw, and then that win against Manchester United last week. But I tell you what, any Brentford fans still enjoying the high from that last week can absolutely forget about it, because this is, as I say, not the start that they were hoping for. We're just getting a little bit of a delay here, so there may be a VAR check. I'm not entirely sure what for. And finally now referee Peter Banks confirms that we can restart play. I must admit, I'm not really sure why VAR was getting involved there at all. I couldn't see anything in terms of an offside or a foul or even a handball. So we are back underway now. Brentford haven't really had a touch of the ball so far in this game, and yet they already find themselves a goal down. Got to somehow try and respond as quickly as possible. And the ball now out of play for a Brentford throw down the right-hand side. The Bees in their third change strip today. It's an all-black kit with some coloured sort of stripes, cubes, squares across the front of the shirt. Their second kit this season is sort of a sky blue, an ode to a popular away shirt that Brentford have had in the 80s. And so they're potentially just a little bit too light in colour to still be clashing with the Fulham home shirt, which is why they're in their third kit today. A lot of Brentford players up for this throw. It's a long throw launched in by Jensen, headed up in the air, and it's out for a goal kick. I think there was potentially a push there from Pontus Jansson, and apart from that, the header from Ivan Toney went out for a goal kick anyway. I think Janssen was trying to say that he was being pushed by Mitrovic, but in fairness, the two of them were holding each other at the same time. Fulham have taken this goal kick short because of this very bright start. I can finally now remind you of the two teams. Bernd Leno is in goal for Fulham with a back four of Kenny Tete, Tosin Adarabioyo, Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson. The three in midfield are Harrison Reed, Andreas Pereira and João Palhinha, with a goal scorer Bobby Decordova-Reid, youngster Jay Stansfield and Alexander Mitrovic as the attacking three for Brentford. David Raya in goal, a back four of Aaron Hickey, Pontus Jansson, Ben Mee and Rico Henry. The three in midfield are Josh De Silva, Christian Norgaard and Mathias Jensen, with Brian Mbumo, João Palhinha and Ivan Toney as the attacking three. The ball now back on the halfway line under real pressure there. Was Norgaard, forced to send that one back to Raya, who's immediately closed down by Decordova-Reid, but he clears that one long. It drops to Ivan Toney, headed away though by Tim Ream. Brentford in possession here down the left-hand side, although that pass from me was a good idea to try and pick out João Palhinha, just a little bit too quick though for the Brentford number 11. And it is out for a throw. Needless to say, that was the quickest goal we've had in the 3 o'clock kickoffs this afternoon, with Fulham taking the lead inside 45 seconds of this game. And we're just getting word that potentially there might be an early goal for... there is an early goal for Villa away at Palace as well. Just to confirm the goal scorer in just a moment. But it is goalless in the game between Everton and Forest and between Leicester and Southampton. All those games are available on our service, as indeed is the game between Preston and Watford in the Championship. Still to come later this afternoon, this evening, it's Bournemouth against Arsenal. But Fulham caught in possession inside their own half. Here's De Silva now, feeding a ball down the right-hand side. It's played across, just a little bit too much power there coming in from that right-hand side. I think it was Tony that fed the ball through, and it was Mbeumo who put the cross in. Mbeumo and Tony linked up so well a couple of times last week, but it was De Silva this time feeding Brian Mbeumo down the right-hand side. He lifted across, but although there was nobody within range of that cross, even if there had been, I think that ball was too high for anyone in a Brentford shirt to do anything with anyway. Fulham now clear the ball long. It's taken down here by Pereira, aiming for Decordova-Reid at the edge of the area. Aaron Hickey, though, takes no chances. Just quickly turns and puts that out for a throw. And just to tell you that early goal for Villa away at Palace was scored by Ollie Watkins. Getting into some goal-scoring form again, the former Brentford man. As Ream now in possession for Fulham, finds Robinson. It's good work here from Pereira. Got 3 Brentford players for company. Goes back to Decordova-Reid, who lifts one into the box. Raya jumping with Mitrovic. He didn't catch it first time. He falls on the ball, though. And he eventually does just quell things here from Brentford's point of view. Long clearance now from Raya down the left-hand side. A bouncing ball here, and that is going to be... Is that going to be a throw to Fulham, or was there an offside and all of that? Mitrovic just having a quick word with one of the Brentford players. Couldn't quite see what the issue was there, but I have to say that looking at this goal again, it really is so disappointing. Great, it's a great start from Fulham. Go forward, get to the opposition's box, and then try and do something with the ball. And if the opposition can't clear it, you've always got a chance to score. And certainly Fulham didn't waste that opportunity very early on. Long clearance now from that free kick for Fulham, but it's straight into Brentford possession. Here is De Silva now, out towards Hickey. That's not a good ball from Hickey to Mbeumo. Easily picked off here by Robinson, and then he goes square to Pereira, heading towards the penalty area now. Pereira's got options left and right. He goes himself, and it's on target. It's a decent strike from Andreas Pereira, forcing a decent save from David Raya, who then bowls it out towards Rico Henry down the left-hand side. Jensen treads on the ball there. It was a real match of redemption for Mathias Jensen last week against Manchester United. Been the focus of some stick from Brentford fans for some of his performances last season, Mathias Jensen, considering how big a player he was in the Bees getting promotion. Didn't quite play up to the same level last season, but certainly silenced quite a few people with his performance. And I'm sure that he enjoyed the fact that it was him winning the ball off Eriksson that led to Brentford's second goal and his first goal in the Premier League, but not quite had the start this afternoon of Brentford that they would have hoped for. Mitrovic is unhappy about something now, having a quick word with the linesman. I think he felt as though there was probably a free kick in Fulham's favour there, but the linesman disagreed. It's just a throw to the home side. Tete takes it short, goes to Stansfield, and then it's Tete's ball down the right hand side, which doesn't quite get through to Mitrovic. On to Brentford now, down the left-hand side. Rico Henry just waiting to restart play as Craven Cottage, the new Craven Cottage, is taking shape. With you can see this elevated stands around the ground. Still not quite complete, but it will certainly be. I'm very pleased from Fulham's point of view that they're able to stay in their old ground. It really would be a shame to leave Craven Cottage, a stadium right on the banks of the River Thames. Brentford's new stadium, in fairness, isn't far from the Thames, but it's not quite on the river as close as Craven Cottage is. Still a few minutes' walk from Brentford's G-Tech Community Stadium right to the Thames there at Kew Bridge. But over here at Fulham on the Thames so far, it's been a great start for the home side. They lead by a goal to nil. I can tell you there's already been an equaliser at Selhurst Park. Watkins got the goal for Villa on 5, and then Wilfred Zaha on 8 minutes has made it 1-1 between Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. Oh, as Raya slips, as the ball was played back to him, the Brentford keeper slipped. He just about stepped forward though and was able to clear it long, and this actually turns out like a good ball towards Henry down the left-hand side, but it's let a little bit too much pace on it. Rico Henry couldn't keep that in play, and it's out for a throw to Fulham down the right-hand side. Tete now we're waiting to restart play, but it's been a steady start here from Fulham, taking an early lead, and although Brentford have responded with a little bit of possession themselves, still not really had enough of an opportunity to test the goalkeeper Bernd Leno, as this is great play here from the youngster Jay Stansfield. Turns away from two Brentford players, breaks down the right hand side, gets into the box and tries a left footed effort which is charged down, tees it up for Mitrovic, who hits it straight down the middle. But the ease with which Fulham are finding gaps in the Brentford half and are able to push forward, this must be a worry for Thomas Frank and his coaches, because Fulham aren't really doing anything groundbreaking here. It's just they're taking advantage of the fact that Brentford are playing high up the field and they're not winning the ball back as quickly as they'd like here, the Bees, and that's really good work there from Stansfield, a player who I've personally not seen before, a Fulham youth product who did have a couple of appearances on the bench for Fulham last season. It's so far hasn't had his. This is in fact his will be his. No, it won't be his Premier League debut. It's his first start in the Premier League. He has made a couple of brief appearances off the bench since the start of the season. But a ball goes over the top here. It's one for Tony to chase. That's really good work there from Leno. Fulham were looking for an offside that didn't come, and even with a delay there's no offside, so it looks as though the Brentford frontman would have been onside if he'd have got the ball into the back of the net. Ball goes out for a throw to Fulham now, down the right hand side. Chance here for the home side just to try and slow things down. So see that replay again. I do think that Tony was probably level when he got to the ball, but that's brave from Bernd Leno. It's a good chance for redemption for Bernd Leno as well, considering that his performance in the game away at Brentford for Arsenal last season on opening day was one of those games that started to tip Arsenal fans against him. But here come Fulham now. It's great work here from Pereira to break into the box. He tries to strike it. The angles are against him there, and the shot deflects off Andreas Pereira and goes out for a corner kick. But Fulham full of energy, full of endeavour here to try and get forward and build on this one-goal lead. Space here for Anthony Robertson. He fed that one into Pereira. No options for him in the box. So although the angles were against him, I wouldn't really criticise him for shooting there, because he didn't have anyone to pass to. Corner kick to Fulham now on the left-hand side. It's going to be an in-swinger from Harrison Reed. Lifts it to... Oh, he lifts it far too much. He doesn't curl anywhere near as much as Reed would have wanted, and just flies over everybody in the penalty area and away for a Brentford throw on their left-hand side. And Reed straight away with his arm up in apology, and rightfully so, I would say, when you consider just how poor that corner kick was. But Brentford, from the resulting throw, don't do much themselves. They lose possession even before the ball reaches the halfway line, and it's now with Stansfield here, tries to thread that ball through towards Mitrovic. Stansfield was taken out when he put that ball in, and referee Peter Banks spotted that, so when the ball didn't reach Mitrovic, it goes straight back for a free kick to Fulham. No advantage there to the home side. And this will be a free kick now in a decent position, as Christian Norgaard just getting a little bit of a telling off there from the referee. As we see, it was Rico Henry. Oh, that's a nasty one from Christian Norgaard. I didn't see that live. He really does tread on young Jay Stansfield there, and that's going to be a painful one. I mean, he's tried to go for the ball, but I think if the referee has seen that and has told him off but not booked him, and I do think that he's quite lucky there, Christian Norgaard. I say the intent was to win the ball, but the end result was a real heavy stamp down on the youngster's ankle. But it's a free kick here to Fulham. Just wait to see if there is any confirmation, but I don't think it has been given as a yellow card. But this is a great chance here for Fulham now, as Pereira stands over it. Nobody marking Mitrovic, and the shot comes in. It goes through Raya. It's into the back of the net. Brentford are completely at sea here in defence. The flag goes up though, so there may be a get out of jail card there for the visitors. But where was the defending there? As this first cross comes in, Mitrovic was... Ooh, I think he's always offside there, Alexander Mitrovic. His plan was to deliberately start offside and then run back just as the cross was coming in. Then the second ball was deflected into the path of Mitrovic, and it goes into the back of the net. But I don't think this one is going to count. No, it's already been given as a free kick. So Fulham did have the ball in the net for a second time, but it has been rightfully ruled out for offside. And if Brentford needed another warning after that first goal, after the goal went in inside the first minute, then that goal ruled out on 14 minutes is a second warning for the Bees now that they really have to be a lot sharper in defence. As I say, Fulham beating Brentford in that playoff final 2 seasons ago, and they're getting relegated, Brentford getting promoted. Fulham will feel as though they have a point to prove here, even though of course Brentford were the last time these two played, Brentford were the losing side, but with the visitors having such a good season last year, Fulham will be very keen to put Brentford down here and get 3 points in this West London derby. And Brentford now trying to push forward down the left hand side, but that ball won't get through to Vista, and then Tete goes crashing in on Ivan Toney. Just a little bit too much physicality there from the Bees front man. I think the referee told him as much as well, but he's helping Kenny Tete up. Fulham play out from the back. Tim Ream finding Pereira, who's looked very busy in these first 15-16 minutes. Plays the ball back to Tim Ream, almost underplayed it, but Ream does get it through towards Mitrovic. Still bouncing around in midfield, and it finds Harrison Reed now. Plays it back to João Palhinha. Reed again, out towards Anthony Robinson on the left-hand side, being closed down here by Mbumo. But it's still Fulham in possession here. Harrison Reed now looks up, plays the ball over towards the right-hand side for Kenny Tete. Now Stansfield. Under a bit of pressure here, Stansfield having to go back towards his teammate in Tete there. Eventually the ball is put out for a throw to Fulham down the right-hand side. Tete just waiting to take it, but he's got no one to pass to right now. Just having to hold it up momentarily. And now he does go back towards Adebayo. Holding the ball up, playing it over towards Ream. Now it's with Andreas Pereira. Pereira clipping a ball over the top, looking for the runner, Mitrovic. It's just a little bit too fast, a little bit too far away from Mitrovic to be able to get on the end of that. Ball is now out for a goal kick, but there was the right idea to try and play Alexander Mitrovic in. If he had been able to control that, he wasn't close enough to him really to actually have much of an impact. Mitrovic would have had time to set himself with that ball. And now it's a long clearance from Raya, headed straight away by Anthony Robinson. And although Pereira was chasing that one, he won't get on the end of it. Match stats so far, Fulham have had 6 efforts, of which 3 of them have been on target. And Brentford haven't had a shot yet in this game. So De Silva now under pressure in midfield, having to go square to Rico Henry. Henry now finding Visser. Visser running straight into Stansfield, who then gets away from Henry, but Henry doesn't give up though. A ball coming in from Stansfield is cut out by Ben Mee, and then a clearance down the left-hand side goes out for a throw to Fulham. He now takes that throw, goes it in towards midfield. Brentford now struggling to even get into possession. At least when they first conceded, they had a few minutes where they were trying to get busy inside the Fulham half. The last 5 minutes, so pretty much since that disallowed goal from Mitrovic, Brentford have hardly had a touch in past the halfway line at all, and they've got more defending to do here as Reed's cross comes in. It's partially cleared by Ben Mee, and then Henry trying to win the header, so he can't quite jump high enough to keep that ball in play. Out for a Fulham throw. Kenny Tete waiting to restart play. Throws it in towards Reed, whose cross, is that going to be out for a corner kick? I think so. The final touch did come off Ben Mee. So Fulham with another set piece here to try and test Brentford. And it is Andreas Pereira coming across to the right-hand side. It's going to be an outswinger from him. 19 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Fulham lead against Brentford by a goal to 0. Scored by Bobby Decordova-Reid after just 45 seconds of this game. As the corner kick comes in, it's hit first time by Mitrovic. It deflects away for another corner. Looked to me as though Raya was completely wrong-footed there. When this corner kick came in from Pereira, it dropped to Mitrovic. And in fact, the shot took a deflection before it got anywhere near Raya. But looked as though Raya was diving the right way until that deflection, which took the ball away from him, but also took it away from goal. And another corner kick here for Fulham. Pereira with the outswinger. It's a header coming in, and it's 2-0. It's all far too easy for Fulham here, and it's into the back of the net. It looks like it was a powerful header there from was that Palhinha with the header? I'll confirm that in just a moment. Who got his head to it? But it looks to me as though it is a second goal here for Fulham, and Brentford once again completely inept in defence. And it is João Palhinha, defensive midfielder, who has put Fulham 2 up here on 20 minutes. He's delighted, and well, at least 3/4 of Craven Cottage are delighted with this as well, but it's just so poor from Brentford. It's an out-swinging corner, and in fairness, at no point does anybody even try to stop João Palhinha from jumping for that ball. So it's, you know, if you're going to do that, zonal marking in sort of tariffs, marking in some sort of... It doesn't make any sense at all if the end result of that is that a midfielder, defender or striker or anybody can jump for the ball with nobody even trying to stop them. That's just poor defending, whichever era you're in. And as I say, I appreciate that man marking seems to have completely gone out of fashion now, but whatever the word for the current way to try and defend a set piece is, you've got to do better than that. That was very, very disappointing from Brentford. João Palhinha is not the shortest player on the pitch, but he's not the tallest either. There was that header from him was very easy to defend had Brentford just set up for that set piece a little better. Saying that, take nothing away from Fulham. It was a great corner from Andreas Pereira, an outswinger which was right onto the head of João Palhinha, and a good header it was too, as the Portuguese headed the corner kick in from the Brazilian. Now there's a strong challenge here on the halfway line, and a couple of Brentford players are unhappy. This referee Peter Banks just trying to defuse the situation there. I don't think Pereira's going to get booked. Looks like he crashed into Aaron Hickey there. But the referee just wanting a quiet word. Hickey won that ball off Decordova-Reid, and then yeah, that's a lunge. He's not quite a striker, but it is almost like a striker's challenge, isn't it? From the Fulham midfielder, and he's just being told by the referee talking to the referee about that last challenge. Very disappointing here, though, from the Bees. Haven't really stepped up to this derby game at all. And in fairness to Fulham, they really have. They really are up for it this afternoon, are the home side. And why not? As I say, they were excellent against Liverpool on opening day. And in actual fact, were probably unlucky to only draw that game. They should have beaten Wolves last week with the penalty that Mitrovic had saved. So it's been a very good start from Fulham. But now Brentford trying to respond. Long ball played up to Tony. He then backheels it to Visser. And then the ball from Mbeumo back to Visser. It's just a little bit too quick. It's like grimace on the face there of Brian Mbeumo. He knows that he could have played that a little better. He tried to hit it first time to keep that move as fast and as flowing as possible. But as we'll see from the replay here, yeah, it was always asking too much of Visser there. To try and get on the end of that one. Goal kick taken short here by Bernd Leno. Brentford, as is their way, leaving as many players up the field to press as possible, but Fulham do reach the halfway line now. Mitrovic playing it back to Adarabioyo, who quickly switches play over towards the left-hand side. Robinson into Decordova-Reid. Now it's Andreas Pereira. Decordova-Reid again. Finds space here at the edge of the area for Harrison Reed, who saw the goal open up in front of him. He's still outside the box, and he was over on the right-hand side, so we needed to really lace that into the top corner. And that's what he was trying to do, I think, Harrison Reed, but he gets underneath it and lifts it a long, long way over the bar. But again, the amount of time and space he's got there, Reed, it's criminal from Brentford, really. They've got to try and put up a bit more resistance here. Just looking across, still no goals between Everton and Forest, or indeed between Leicester and Southampton. Those two games are still goalless, and it's still 1-1 between Palace and Villa. And just to confirm, in case you missed it earlier today, Tottenham beating Wolves 1-0 with a goal from Harry Kane on 64 minutes. It's far from a classic game, it has to be said. But Wolves will be frustrated. They had their chances in the first half, didn't really step up in the second half in the same way. But certainly they had their chances to try and rile Spurs a little bit. But Antonio Conte's side with the 3 points in the early game. And still Bournemouth Arsenal to come at 5:30 this evening. before 3 more games in the Premier League tomorrow, 2 kicking off at 2 p.m. Leeds against Chelsea and West Ham against Brighton, both of those games on our service, as indeed is the 4:30 game between Newcastle and Man City. Bristol City against Cardiff. It's the 7 derby on so tomorrow at midday as well from the Championship. And finally, to wrap up this 3rd round of Premier League fixtures, it's Manchester United against Liverpool at 8 p.m. As Thomas Frank now is absolutely fuming with the 4th official, but I can't really work out why. I'm not quite sure what Thomas Frank's issue was there, but he wouldn't take no for an answer, really having a long discussion with our referee Dean Whitestone. And as I say, if Thomas Frank carries on like that, I think referee Peter Banks may be forced just to try and calm the Bees manager down. But it's a throw to Brentford now down the left-hand side. Decordova-Reid gets that in, but it's quickly... But Decordova-Reid won it back for Fulham, I should say. Brentford then desperate to try and push forward and win it back. They do win it back here, and Vissanel heading towards the penalty area, and then it's played back by Jensen. It's under hit though. No one in a Brentford shirt is going to get on the end of that. So Kenny Tete is down in the meantime, complaining of some pain in his right knee, or is it his right thigh that he's unhappy about there, Tete? But in any case, he is now okay. Back on his feet. Yeah, just got a bit of a knee there to the back there from Ivan Toney. I wouldn't say there's any intent in that whatsoever. But it's going to be a throw on to Brentford, level with the Fulham penalty area. So we know that this will mean Mathias Jensen launching it long, which he does. It's headed forward at the edge of the 6-yard box. Both sets of players with their arms up. But the referee goes with the home side's appeals that it should be a goal kick and nothing more. Ben Mee was the one asking for a corner there. I do think he's the one that got the final touch. And waiting to restart play now, Bernd Leno. He's got 2 players, 2 teammates at the edge of the area. I can tell you that Crystal Palace have taken the lead against Aston Villa now, but there is an offside review with VAR, so potentially Palace could be 2-1 up, or I'll come back to you in a moment and say that it's actually still 1-1. There's a strong collision here. There's a jump there between Palhinha and the referee has come across. Now, is this going to be a foul? Although Ben Mee is the one down on the ground, I think there's a suggestion that perhaps Ben Mee was the guilty party in all of this. Both sets of players are trying to surround the referee here, and in the meantime, the Brentford physios are on to check what's happened to Ben Mee. I think that Palhinha is looks like he's okay now, and I can tell you now that the Palace goal has been ruled out. So Palace very briefly led against Aston Villa, but the goal was offside. Looks like the goal scorer Jeff Schlupp was the one who was adjudged to have committed the who was the one who judged to have been offside, as referee Peter Banks is calling over João Palhinha. So it has been deemed that Fulham's second goal scorer was actually the one at fault there, jumping up for the ball with Ben Mee, and just catching him a little bit too deliberately, I think, for the referee's liking. Palhinha doesn't really have too much to say about that. I don't think that there's too much you can argue about, really. It seems to me like it was the correct decision. Yeah, he's jumping for the ball, and he does want to win the ball, but he's always leading with his arm. Throughout the entire jump, he's got his arm out, and then there's a strong collision with the elbow into the face of Ben Mee. You couldn't say he's deliberately jumped into Mee to try and hurt him, but he's not done everything he could to try and avoid the severity of that collision, if that makes sense. So I think that it probably is the right decision, and he is the first Fulham player in the book. Thomas Frank looks very different to the Thomas Frank we saw after 29 minutes at home to Manchester United last week, that's for sure. The Bees manager, real frown on his face, and I'm not surprised because his side just haven't stepped up to the mark in this game at all. It's a long free kick now from Jensen out towards the right-hand side. That's really well controlled, and then whipped into the box by Mbeumo, cleared, but only as far as Norgaard, who then hooks it up in the air. It drops at the edge of the area. Good header there from Adebayo, and in the meantime there's an offside against the Brentford players in any case. But to me, as that may have been Vissa that had just strayed there. And so a free kick to Fulham. Yes, there was an offside there just as that ball was pumped back into the penalty area. Clearance now down the left-hand side. Possession in this first half so far, 57% for Fulham, 43% for Brentford. So certainly the Bees seeing plenty of the ball, but just unable to do anything with it for the time being. Really struggling to create any kind of attacking possession at all. Long ball now from Jensen, does get through to Visser, who was brought down by Kenny Tete, and that's going to be a free kick to Brentford and a booking for the Dutchman as well. Tete is not happy with that decision. I don't think he's got much of a leg to stand on. Indeed, Visser didn't have much of a leg to stand on after that challenge as well. And Tete, I mean, I think there was intent to win the ball. I definitely wouldn't say that he was deliberately trying to foul Johan Visser there, but the truth is that the ball was... he missed the ball and he did just get Visser. So a free kick to Brentford. It's inside the centre circle. Mathias Jensen standing over it. Fulham have set up just outside the D with their offside. So Brentford really have to time this ball just right as Jensen plays it down the right-hand side. Hickey is onside, but he needs some help here to try and turn this ball back into the box. He plays it back to De Silva. Now it's with Norgaard, and he does lift across into the box, headed up in the air by Adebayo. Drops to Mbumo, hits it first time with the right foot. That's easily charged down. Still alive here down the left-hand side as Mee plays an overlapping ball towards Rico Henry, who hits the deck at the edge of the area. No free kick given, and then long clearance from Harrison Reed up towards the halfway line, but it's headed down by Jensen, controlled by Norgaard, and then he goes back towards the goalkeeper, David Raya. So that's a little bit better from Brentford. They did try to get into the box, couldn't quite get a shot away, and are able to recycle the ball in midfield. It's pretty much the first time they've done that in this game, and it's taken 32 minutes. Here is Mathias Jensen now. Ball forward for Visser. The Fulham players have their arms up for an offside, and the linesman follows suit by raising his flag. Visser had gone just a little bit too soon there, but Brentford at least asking a few questions of this Fulham defence now. You see, I'll tell you what, that's very close. But yeah, I mean, even without the VAR pencil lines, you can just about see that Visser's right foot was ahead of Adebayo. So it would have been the correct decision now. A free kick to Fulham, just at the edge of their own box. Bernd Leno, which I think is a good signing for Fulham. I think that when you're a newly promoted side, it's quite difficult to have that balance of getting an experienced goalkeeper who knows the Premier League and has international experience. Well, Leno has all those things, although he had his detractors at Arsenal. Certainly he's still a very able goalkeeper, and Brentford now trying to test Leno. They still haven't managed it yet. They've won themselves a throw on though down the left-hand side, and Rico Henry wanted to take it quickly to Jensen, but he was also quickly being marked by Kenny Tete. So in the end, Jensen takes the ball off Rico Henry, and we're going to see a long ball launched in. No, we're not. It's just a short ball from Jensen this time, perhaps unexpected. He plays it to De Silva. Jensen then dropping a shoulder, putting it onto his left, then back onto his right, playing it back to De Silva, whose ball is headed away to the edge of the area. Strike coming in from Mbumo. Well, it's an effort on target from Brentford, but it was straight at Bernd Leno. Made an easy enough save. And in the meantime, the ball goes out for a throw to Brentford down the right-hand side. And Mbumo takes it back to Hickey. De Silva playing it back to Ben Mee. And Mee over towards Rico Henry. Plenty of pressing, though, inside the Brentford half. Wants to go back towards the goalkeeper now, David Raya. And so we've got 34 minutes on the clock. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Fulham 2, Brentford 0. It's a deserved scoreline. Fulham have been the much better side. Palace leading. Palace 1-1 with Villa. Everton still 0-0 with Nottingham Forest. And Leicester City still goalless against Southampton at the King Power Stadium. Back here at Craven Cottage, Brentford exchanging passes deep inside their own half. Not able to make any progress though, as Fulham still leave 3 or 4 players as high up the field as possible just to put the Bees under pressure. Pereira now closing down on Raya, and Stansfield now closing down on Mee, and that very nearly paid off. He was only 2 or 3 steps away there, Jay Stansfield, from nicking that ball off Ben Mee, and then he would have been one-on-one with David Raya. That said, Fulham, even with that chance that I just mentioned a moment ago to put Brentford under pressure. Brentford have actually had 72% possession in the last 5 minutes to Fulham's 28. But despite having such a big advantage, all they've got to show for it is a strike from the edge of the area from Brian and Mbeumo, which was straight at Bernd Leno. That's all that Brentford have been able to muster in terms of chances so far in this game. Now back with David Raya. He plays this forward to De Silva. And De Silva now back to Norgaard. Options left and right. It goes right here towards Mbeumo. Now Hickey back to Pontus Jansson. So again, Brentford now have got control of the ball, but it's all in their own half. But Fulham won't mind. Fulham will happily see Brentford exchange 15-20 passes going crossfield left to right when they're still 10 or 15 yards away from the halfway line. As Hickey now tries a very long ball to pick out Visser down this left-hand side. Stansfield gets there. I don't think he got there before the ball went out of play, though. So it is going to be a throw to Brentford, which Rico Henry wanted to take quickly. Waits a second and then throws it in towards Visser, who's got Tete on his back. He plays it back towards Rico Henry. And now Ben Mee on the halfway line to Pontus Jansson. Fulham trying to play as high an offside line as they can, just to really condense the middle of the park and make it difficult for Brentford to make any kind of progress. That's a good ball though to find Mbeumo. He plays it over the top here. Visser could get on the end of this. He gets his head to it, but he just can't get the power behind it. If that ball was just bouncing a little bit lower, then potentially João Visser could have got his foot to that one, and he would have hit it a lot harder than this flick of a header. He was trying to lob the goalkeeper with a diving header, and he only really got a faint touch on it. If I could describe it like this, if a defender was going to nod the ball back to his own goalkeeper, that's what he would do. There wasn't enough power on that from Visser, really, to put any pressure on Bernd Leno. Fulham have got forward in the meantime down the right-hand side. Stansfield's run is cut out before it's finally put out by Pereira for a throw to Brentford after the Bees were trying to clear their lines. It's Rico Henry now waiting to start play here with a throw to Brentford. This throw goes straight to Kenny Tete though, and here comes Harrison Reed now playing the ball to Pereira at the edge of the area. Mitrovic is just behind him, and then there's a dive into the, and I say it's a dive because it was a dive from Decordova-Reid. I think the Brentford players there are saying that Decordova-Reid dived. If I've correctly lip-read what Ben Mee has just called Decordova-Reid, let's just say there's no time of day where you could broadcast what Ben Mee just called him, but that is a dive. There's no, I mean, he has actually run into his own teammate there, but that is a dive from Decordova-Reid. And the fact that Mitrovic clips him doesn't matter because Decordova-Reid was already hitting the deck before Mitrovic got to him. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's actually quite hard to get a yellow card for diving these days. It has to be really, really blatant. Because I think basically players have it's just been sort of phased out a little bit. I wouldn't say that players have stopped diving. What they've started doing more now is just exaggerating the contact when there is some, but the sort of the out and out dive when there's no contact at all has become a bit of a rarity these days, which is a good thing, of course. But Fulham, in the meantime, trying to push forward down the left-hand side. It's gone back towards David Raya. He clears it long, but in the meantime, the flag goes up. There was an offside against one of the Fulham players there. I think it was Anthony Robinson on the overlap. So a free kick to Brentford now, just at the edge of their own penalty area. Pontus Jansson just playing it short towards Norgaard. Now back to Ben Mee, and he tries a long ball down the left-hand side. Ben Mee, which is kept in play here by Henry, runs into Tete, and that's good work here from Harrison Reed. It really has been a very energetic performance from Fulham. I've been impressed with how the home side have maintained their energy levels. They've only had a few lulls where Brentford have enjoyed more of the ball, but in actual fact, when that's happened, it's been on the halfway line anyway. There's been very limited attacking possession for Brentford in the first 39 minutes, and you do have to credit Marco Silva's side for that. Brentford are off the pace, but that take nothing away from how well Fulham are playing, and they're pushing forward now. Pereira playing a good ball down the right-hand side to Stansfield. Stansfield back to Harrison Reed, who lifts across in. Oh, it's too high. No chance for Mitrovic to get on the end of that, but Decordova-Reid still keeps it alive down the left-hand side, plays it back to Robinson, whose ball into the box is over everybody, and then it's hooked away by Visser towards the halfway line. Tony will chase it, but Tete will easily get there first. Tony carries on his press all the way to Bernd Leno, but the Fulham keeper takes no chances, clears it long to the halfway line, headed forward by Mathias Jensen. The second ball gets straight back to Andreas Pereira though, and Pereira skips away from Jensen, plays it in towards Mitrovic. The angles are against Mitrovic, he fires it towards goal. Raya with the save, and now the flag does go up. Brentford are a little bit unhappy that the flag took that long to go up, but of course that's just a new feature now across football, where teams used to be angry at the linesman not putting the flag up at all. Now they're angry at the linesman for putting the flag up 3 seconds later than he could have done. But in fairness, the linesman shouldn't need a little whisper from VAR there. Mitrovic is at least 2 yards offside, which in the modern game is an absolute mile, really, isn't it? The linesman should have seen that. But having said that, I'm always in favour of the linesman waiting a few seconds anyway. I know that players on the pitch who want every second to be able to get back into this game want the linesman to spot it immediately, but I'd prefer the linesman to wait a few seconds and always get it right with the confirmation of a video assistant, rather than ending the play too soon and then finding out that the player wasn't actually offside at all. So correct decision in the end, and Fulham trying to win the ball back, and they do win the ball back here in midfield. Brentford only very briefly enjoying possession around about the halfway line. Harrison Reed now leaves this ball for Kenny Tete. And it is going to be a throw on to Fulham. Nice to see that the sort of the cottage area of Fulham's ground, where the changing rooms are, that's still been maintained. I think that's a listed building, isn't it? So I think Fulham had to incorporate that into their stadium renovations. And as I say, with the stands now being slightly elevated, you won't be able to see, I think, anywhere near as much of the River Thames as you used to be able to from certain points at Craven Cottage, having been to that ground and sat in 3 different places. To say it was always quite something, the fact that it was that close to the Thames. But Fulham have to move with the times. They are a club who are always in and amongst it for promotion to or being in the Premier League. So they did need a new stadium. That stand, the opposite stand to where the dugouts are. I remember being in there as an away fan going back about 10 years, and the seats really were falling apart, crumbling, and it needed to have some work done to it. But Fulham, in the meantime, they're doing some good work here down the left-hand side as Pereira finds Decordova-Reid. He then rolls the ball back towards Robinson. Robinson then playing it in towards Palhinha. Second goal scorer for Fulham, back towards Adebayo and Ream on the halfway line. Adebayo being closed down, but still has time to find Tete, who does really well to skip away from Visser. Then he finds Jay Stansfield. Stansfield back to Tete, who carried on his run. It's such a shame that the pass from Stansfield is just a little bit overhit. And that's something that the youngster will be able to correct as he gets more experience on the pitch. In actual fact, we're just getting a replay of that first goal. I mean, it's good hustle from Fulham, and it's excellent that you start inside the first few seconds and score yourself a goal. But from Brentford's point of view, Thomas Frank's style is normally to be positive, so he rarely criticises his team, even when it's sometimes obvious that he should do that. It's Brentford just being poor rather than being unlucky, but he'll always try and find the positives, but there's very few positives from this first half. We've still got 2 minutes to play here, and Brentford have won themselves a corner, which, based on how they've attacked so far in this first half, you have to say that is a positive. And they've got a corner kick now down the right-hand side, and Bumo is going across to take this. That is going to be an in-swinger, left-footed in-swinger from the right-hand side. And no surprise, the big men, Jensen and Mee, are up from the back here for Brentford. Ben Mee, of course, scoring from a corner last week, albeit it wasn't direct from a corner. It was assist from Tony with his head before Mee headed it past a very hapless Manchester United defence. But it's a corner kick to Brentford, and it's in the back of the net. Brentford have a goal, and it's just before half-time. It's a really good goal as well. Boomer was there for the in-swinging corner, but Mathias Jensen was there for the out-swinging corner. It's Jensen's ball in. He picks out Christian Norgaard, who then hits it first time inside the penalty area. Now it's Fulham's turn to be a bit lax with the marking, because Norgaard was always in and around the penalty spot. He wasn't hiding anywhere. It's just that he made a quick dash and literally 2 or 3 square yards of space around the Brentford number 6. He's just got time to measure his shot, and it's a really good strike as well. It bounces, is just hitting him. It's just about to hit it on the volley there. He does really well, does Christian Norgaard. Brentford back into this game when they really haven't looked likely to score at all. And so that certainly is going to just temper Fulham's mood slightly before half-time. Fulham scoring in the first minute of regulation play, Brentford scoring in the last. And so we've got about 10 seconds before our fourth official, Mr. Whitestone, puts up his board to see how much injury time there'll be. I'm thinking 2-3 minutes max. Can't imagine it'd be any more than that. And clearance now from Adebayo. I think there was an offside before the ball even reached Adebayo. It's been closed down by Visser, who was going there from an offside position. So it will be a free kick to Fulham. And still waiting to see how much time has been added to this first half. Confirmation is just the 2 minutes that have been added to this first half. We're into that time now. And yeah, that's a Fulham bench. Just we can see now Marco Silva in furious discussions there with his assistant Luis Boamorte, who himself a real character. I remember him playing in the Premier League, Boamorte. Nice to see him back involved with Fulham, where he enjoyed some good days as well as a player. Scored some big goals for Fulham as well, did Boamorte. But his side just a little bit on the ropes now. It's I mean, it's a great time to score for Brentford just before half-time, but I suppose in an ideal world the first half would go on for another 5 or 7 minutes now for Brentford, just for them to perhaps catch Fulham out when they're a little bit vulnerable after conceding the first goal. But it's just a minute to go before we hit half-time. It is half-time already at the King Power Stadium, where it is still goalless between Leicester City and Southampton. Leicester and Southampton both winless after their first 2 games. Leicester drew with Brentford and then lost to Arsenal. Southampton lost to Spurs and then drew with Leeds, although it probably felt more like a win for Southampton because they were 2 down until quite late on in that game at St Mary's. Back here at Craven Cottage, we've got a few seconds to go before half-time. It is also half-time in the other game that's goalless in the Premier League so far. That's at Goodison Park, where Everton are playing Nottingham Forest. Here at the Craven Cottage, Brentford enjoying a bit of possession. Will they have enough time to thread together another move? They've got seconds left here before half-time as Visser dances away from 2 Fulham players, goes back to Jensen. He then plays the ball into Ben Mee, but there won't be any more time. Referee Peter Banks ends the first half here at Craven Cottage, where Fulham had the perfect start, taking the lead inside 45 seconds with Bobby Decordova-Reid. They doubled their lead on 20 minutes through João Palhinha, but then Brentford on the score sheet just before half-time with a goal from Christian Norgaard. Fulham lead 2-1 at half-time, and I'm back in 15 minutes for second half off-tube studio commentary.